Hi, Michael here, welcoming you to another edition of Cuppa Talks. Today I'd like to talk about creativity. This is really a favorite subject of mine because you can't teach creativity. I've been teaching music for 50 years. I've taught all types of things, all types of students. And one of my personal favorite endeavors is being creative, especially working in improvised music, whether it's a solo performance, playing with other musicians, or doing some sort of a sound session with these instruments behind me. Yeah, it's really difficult to teach creativity because creativity is just something that's out there in the ether. It's very ephemeral. It's not a solid thing. It's not like teaching piano, which has hundreds of years of pedagogy behind it. And you can have your student and you can pull out a Chopin piano piece and it's all written down, the notes to play, all the dynamics and inflections, the pedaling, everything in there, the tempo, all of that is given on this sheet of paper. And then you can teach the student how to play that. You can even teach them to memorize it and just play it by rote. But that's all technique. That's not creativity. I can teach people technique all day long. And I do that in my workshops, in my private lessons, in the videos I've made. If you've followed my channel for any length of time, I've done a lot of technique videos talking about mallets and holding mallets and playing instruments and how to strike instruments, how to do this and that and the other thing. And I can teach that all day long because it's very concrete. If I grab a mallet, it's like I can teach you, hold it like this, move it like this, hit like this. That's very concrete. That's something we can see, we can feel, we can experience. And it's also repeatable. I can tell you how to hit that mallet and you can do it 1,000 times, 20,000 times, 100,000 times, and repeat that exact motion. But that's technique. So let's talk about creativity. I've got notes here today because there's a lot to really say. I'm going to say some stuff, and again, people who've watched my channel for a long time or read my book or all these other things, you might say, Michael, you're contradicting yourself, but not really. I'm a highly trained musician. I studied all through junior high school. I went to university. I was a percussion major for a while. I've taken private lessons from people. A lot of study. And that was all really good for getting my technique together. Well, let me tell you about my university experience. I went to a school that was renowned as being a jazz school. But for being a jazz school, they were not very creative. Had an award-winning program, award-winning bands, but it was pretty much by rote, really. They sort of had a formula, and if you could fit into that formula, you could go along with it, and you would be successful along that sort of factor. Now here I am, percussion major, and asking my percussion teacher, very highly trained person who'd gone to Juilliard, played in a symphony orchestra, percussionist there, a highly trained person. I asked them about sound. I asked them about improvisation. I asked them about like sheet metal and weird instruments. And how do I, do that? How do I incorporate all that? They had no idea. Now, I have to say that the best thing they did, which really did me a favor, was I came back for my lesson next week, and they handed me the score to John Cage's first construction in metal, which featured thunder sheets, sheet metal thunder sheets as one of the main instruments. That was my first exposure to Cage, to experimental music, and that opened up a whole world of sound to me. That opened me up to Stockhausen and Harrison and Morton Feldman and all these other great, who at that time, 50 years ago, they were very much contemporary. They were all still alive and composing, and that opened me up to that. And from there, I discovered European free jazz, which jazz is kind of a misnomer because European free music is not based on swing like American music is. It's not based on the blues and swing and that triplet feel. It's based on, if anything, folk music and even classical music. It's European improvising tends to be much more strict than swinging. So European improvised music, I fell into that. Took a deep dive in both and became self-taught from there because schooling could not give me what I wanted, what I desired to know. So I became self-taught. So if we look at it, I was probably 20 years of age then. I abandoned my percussion career at a university level because it was not fulfilling what I wanted to know. I didn't want to just come out and be some sort of symphonic player or some sort of a band director or some sort of a university teacher. That was not my goal. I wanted to understand sound at a much deeper intrinsic level. So I became self-taught. So what am I leading to? Is for us, playing gongs, singing bowls, bells, and see, I have all kinds of instruments on the table in front of me. For us, we don't have hundreds of years of history. We don't have books or sheet music that you can pull out and say, oh, I'm going to learn this gong piece or this crystal bowl piece. It's a very different experience. And people like myself and other great teachers out there, we can teach you technique all day long and get you started there. And also, I can speak for myself. I can teach you the basis of being creative. I can teach you how I am creative. I can teach you how I think and feel and experience creativity. And I can play examples and I can do stuff like that. But I can't say, here's how to be creative. Take this book and read it, come back next week, and then play me something. I can't do that because it's not possible. Creativity belongs to the ether. Creativity is something that is here. And for many people, creativity is something they either have or they don't have in different areas. We can all be creative in various things, but let's talk about music. Let's talk about playing these instruments, playing a sound session. And I mean, this is, again, my channel. It's all my personal opinion. I think you need to be creative when you're playing because each situation is different. Each situation is unique. The people are different. The room you're playing in is different. Sometimes the instruments I bring are different. the way I feel that particular moment is different. So for me, improvisation, creativity, however you want to define it, is super important. And in my workshops and in my private lessons, I talk about this. I talk about the essence of creativity, how to hopefully think creatively and act creatively, how to improvise, how to come up with ideas, how to work with those ideas. But again, this is all very ephemeral. It doesn't exist. Now, let's say you are a painting student, and you could go to an art college, or you can go anywhere else. You can study painting, and they will have you study the masters, and they'll have you go through history and move through the different periods of art and things like that. And you can do that with art, especially like painting, because somebody paints a work of art, what we typically call a painting. And there it is, and it exists, and it can exist for all time and for all people to see. Think of things like the Mona Lisa. It was painted hundreds of years ago. It still exists. It's been photographed and scanned and copied millions of times. Everybody can see it in some sort of representation. Although I'll talk later about seeing things in person, which is a whole different experience. But when we play music, it's in the air, it's in the ether. I make these sounds, I strike a gong. And that is moving the air molecules. And it dissipates and it's gone forever. I can strike it again, but it won't be exactly the same. It will never be two notes exactly the same. Now I can record all of this, and I do. You can see all my performance videos. You can buy or download all my recordings I've done, and you can listen to them again. But that's a facsimile of the real thing. It's not like going to see the Mona Lisa and you see the actual real painting. So there's a difference there. And also, any recordings I make are reproduced through speakers, headphones, earphones, something else. And again, it's a recreation. It's an imitation of what I did originally. So it will never have the same impact, the same experience. We've all been to concerts. You go to a live concert, and there's an experience there, and that music and feeling it, and also being with other people. And then you can go home, and maybe you've got a DVD or a live recording of that same concert you were at, and you can listen to it, you can watch it. It's not the same. So that's the hard part about what we do, working with sound, and about creativity is it's here, it's gone, it's of the moment. And that's the thing I always talk about. We have to be in the moment, and everything we do is of the moment. And then it's gone. So what is my point? Well, my point is it's just you can learn technique from everybody. You can learn technique online. You can learn technique from people in person, at workshops, at clinics, at gong camps, and things like that. But when it comes to actually making the sounds, that's all up to you. And you have to do your diligence. You have to do your homework. And you have to learn how to make those sounds. And you have to learn how to put them together. I can give you direction. I can give you general direction and ideas and say, well, you kind of do this and this and that and the other thing. But you have to experience it and decide for yourself how to walk that path. Okay? Sound. Again, it only exists in the moment. The actual sound only exists in the moment. Remember that. And it's gone. Forever. It's gone. And any recording is just a facsimile, just an imitation of what really happened. Every time you play, be in that moment, experience it, because it'll never happen again. Be joyful that you are there, that you are able to do this, and you are able to play those sounds and be in that vibratory field. All right. So thanks for coming to my Cuppa Talks. I'll see you next time.